Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, folks. Michael Zuber, one rental at a time, back with his good friend and someone who's teaching him about the stock market, Mr. Dan Bird. How you doing, sir?
Doing well. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. So at the end of video 2, and we teased a little bit in video 1, I believe, you want to kind of give us a 101 on ETFs?
Yeah, before I do, let me share my newsletter. I didn't show it at the end of the last one, but I did at the beginning.
Sure.
So I do this. It's free. I do it. I started with just friends and family, but now folks on your channel have sent me an email and I've added them to the list as well. Awesome. If you want to receive it, send me a note to breakpointtrading@gmail.com and I'll add you to the list. And it's just kind of a summary of what I've seen in the market the last week and some things to think about for the next week as well.
Very cool. So talk to us about ETFs.
Yeah, so I was talking to a friend who said, I don't know anything about stocks.
Okay.
But I do like to invest in the market with some of my portfolio. So I just do it in mutual funds because I'm not smart enough to be able to pick the stocks.
Okay.
And I said, well, what about ETFs? And she said, well, yeah, that's interesting. I don't know enough about them either. Because ETFs basically is a basket of stocks, essentially. That's what it is. That some of the big institutions put together baskets for you, and you can buy the basket instead of the individual stock, but you get all the stocks that are in that basket. But they have much lower cost ratios. So their fees are much lower than buying mutual funds. So it's kind of like a mutual fund, but you buy and sell ETFs just like you would a stock.
Yeah. In addition, ETFs have some tax advantages because in mutual funds, when stocks are bought and sold, you can get tax hits. ETFs do not have that.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yep.
Right. So this is a little plug for, this is a company that I actually subscribe to called Earnings Beats. This guy's really good. He's a CPA and he used to work for big financial institutions, and he would analyze financials for companies on their trading desk. So he would analyze the financials, and then he discovered technical analysis, the charts. And he said, I was always really good at the financials. I could always tell my clients when to get into a stock, and it usually would go up and they would make a lot of money, but I really didn't know how to get out. I couldn't figure out how to, when it was over, when the run was over. He said, by studying technical analysis and charts, that it helped me to understand when to get out. We kind of covered that in the last session we just did. All right, so he does a lot of research and he puts a number of what's called chart lists. And these chart lists can be imported right into stock charts, which is all the charts that I show on here are stockcharts.com. That's the platform that I use.
Okay.
But everything that he does can be imported into stock charts. So you can do all the things you normally do with stock charts. And one of the things that he does is ETFs. So he has ETF chart lists, portfolios, he's got a webinar that explains ETFs. Now it costs to join this, but sometimes he does a lot of sessions for free.
Okay.
You can find him on stock charts as well, which I'll show people if they are a subscriber to stock charts or would like to be. It's free to join stock charts, but to get a lot of the extra features, there is a subscription fee. But you can join for free and just get these articles up here. So I'm going to click on articles. And these are all people that are key technical analysts that stock charts has endorsed and allow them to publish a weekly, view, an article of what they see in the market.
Look at that title. The Fed is chasing windmills as sellers gain strength.
Right.
I'm not even sure what that means, chasing windmills.
Yeah, these are great articles, and you could spend your whole Saturday just browsing through these. But the guy that I just mentioned that has Earnings Beats, his name is Tom Bowley.
Okay.
So this is one of his articles, and he'll announce in here when he does free webinars.
Okay.
Last 3 sell-offs have this one common ingredient, and that it shows the charts right here. There's Facebook. We didn't look at Facebook, but there's Facebook.
Yeah, Meta. Yeah.
So see, it's a good way to help understand charting as well, because he's really good at explaining it. But anyway, Tom Bowley is somebody I have a lot of respect for. He's the one that put this site together. And for ETFs, which is really want to touch on, what he does is he put together this ETF calculator or analyzer.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of work goes into this, but if you're a subscriber, you get this for free. And he shows you all the ETFs that are out there. He shows you what the top 10 holdings in each one of these, because you shouldn't just buy ETFs because you think it's a good thing to buy.
Right.
You should know what the holdings are in each one of them.
Absolutely.
So he shows you the top 10 holdings in each of these ETFs.
Wow.
You see Apple is 5% there. And then what he does in his analysis is he looks at the general, what the market is doing right now.
Mm-hmm.
And he picks certain ETFs that reflect the market. So right now he's not going to pick technology. Technology makes up 28% of the S&P, right? So he's not going to choose technology. He's going to choose consumer staples. So he wants to know consumer staples, what ETFs are heavily weighted in consumer staples. Here's one that's 100%, consumer staples. But he doesn't want to go 100% usually. So he'll divide it, he'll allocate it, 20% here, 10% there. And at the end, it will analyze what his weightings look like. Of the ETFs that he's buying, what does that look like? And then he'll buy them at the beginning of the quarter. At the end of the quarter, he'll go back and see how they did. So, and he creates these portfolios, which you can then just import right into stock charts and do the things that you typically would do. This is his ETF portfolio. This is the one that he just did. And I just want to, I know we're limited time, but ETFs, can act like stocks, but you need to understand the companies that they have in those ETFs.
I agree.
That's the number one thing I want to get across in this session.
Don't buy ETFs because of the name. And I know some people out there look at the name and they buy it because of that without even knowing.
Yeah, like ARK. Like ARK is a good example.
Yeah.
ARK is basically an ETF.
It is, yes.
Right. So I just wanted to look at the ones that he just picked, because he just did this just before the market tanked. I think it was like he did it last Saturday.
Okay.
So he bought these ETFs for this current next quarter, the next 3 months, basically. And I just wanted to see how they did. So you can look at the last 2 days, these red lines. So this is a dividend growth ETF. This one here is Fidelity dividend ETF. Look at the last 2 days. This one here is a high dividend. So he's looking at, stocks that have high dividends, usually, big name stocks. Here's S&P low volatility is most of the stocks that make up this ETF, SPLV. So it's a good way to find ETFs that match your investing style.
Yeah.
This is minimum volatility. So this is a low volatility. They still went down. Everything went down.
Yep.
Here's Vanguard value. These are the value stocks rather than the growth stocks. So you can see when we talked about on the last session about rotation, and I said it's not so much about rotation. It's just about people getting out. You can see here, these are value. You would think that they would be rotating from growth to value, but the value stocks look the same.
Yeah.
And here's energy. Energy has had a great run. Energy usually is where most investors go to when inflation is going up. Energy is the first place they go. Energy didn't have as much of a sell-off last week, but it did have some sell-off.
Yeah.
This one here is real estate. Here's one close to your heart, real estate ETF.
Yep.
Also didn't have as much of a sell-off either. I mean, it's actually holding in there pretty well. So this might be one that if you wanted to get into an ETF, REZ, which he has already done the analysis for you and identified the holdings in that one. And here's consumer staples for the S&P. Also didn't have as much of a sell-off. So that one looks pretty good. And here's healthcare. Healthcare had a big sell-off.
Yeah.
Healthcare has been on a nice run the last 3 weeks.
Yeah.
But they had a big sell-off as well.
Yeah.
So those are the top 10 that he picked. And I just wanted to show you, even if you're investing in ETFs, it still is going to be reflected from the market itself.
Absolutely.
But more importantly, you need to know what companies make up that ETF and make sure that it matches your investing style.
Yep, folks, as I always say in real estate and now in stocks, do the work.
Right. Yeah.
There are no shortcuts. I've been learning this now for 90 days and still have years to go. So one more time, breakpointtrading@gmail.com. Dan, thank you very much. And I look forward to talking next week.
You bet.
Thanks.
Talk to you then. Bye.